Hello everyone, Totes My Guts again. I just wanted to move on to the next part of our demo. So as you saw in the last video, we got to this point with our mountain and some erosion. I'm just going to delete this because this isn't really what I wanted to show you, but just more or less demonstrating how to drag and drop some nodes in. Like I showed you, you can drag these nodes and connect them in earlier. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and start dropping in a bunch of mountains just to kind of get us started. So as I talked about, I like using the bulky and the auto level for the mountains. This is going to allow us to get these to sit about as high as the terrain will allow us. So my terrain is at 80 meters. So therefore this should be about 80 meters tall. Um, I'm going to create, just for an example, again, this is very, very basic and going to go pretty quick. But let's go ahead and just throw some mountains in to begin with. You have other options. You don't necessarily have to follow what I'm going to do here, but you have things like a range, you have islands, you have plates, ridge, sand, all that good stuff. We can get into that later. But I just kind of wanted to give people just kind of a quick demonstration, really, of how to change your terrain a little bit to suit your track once you're done. So we'll go ahead and we will generate this mountain several times. I'm just going to copy and paste it a few times here. And because I copied these, it didn't randomize the seeds. So I'm just going to randomize them by clicking in here and changing them. Now we've got four different mountains that all kind of look different sitting by themselves. So let's get to how we can sort of control our terrain a little bit by taking these mountains and just quickly transforming them. So what I did here is I just click and drag out from one of the outputs. You can do that. It'll then prompt you to maybe select a suggested node. Transform is the one I want to use, but you can also just start typing if you know the name of the node you want to use. So I could type in transform, TRA, to begin with, and it will suggest some. I can just select it at that point. I could also come over here and find it and then drag and drop it onto the page, but for now, we're just going to go through this step pretty quick, transform these. And I don't really have a huge plan for these, so I'm just going to go through and make these uh, just sitting off to the side for now. Okay, so if we kind of look through these real fast, I added this mountain here. I've got this mountain, and this mountain. I've moved that mountain to that corner. I've moved this mountain to that corner. I moved this mountain over to that corner, and so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead and combine these into one terrain by using the combine node. The combine lets you take one terrain and combine it with the other using some different blending techniques. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, you'll probably be familiar with how this works. So basically, we'll select the combine. I'm actually going to choose a different type of blend. Rather than blending it where they kind of add it to each other, I'm going to use max. So max is going to take the highest from each height map, the highest value from each height map, and keep that versus the other height map. So whatever's taller is going to protrude through. And we can just kind of keep adding these together with that max blend at 100%. And we'll just drag another one in. So we've kind of come through here and you can see that we're just slowly adding nodes together. All right, so now you have your mountain landscape. If you ask me, this is going to be pretty tough to work on. There's no flat spots, which is pretty important, I'd say. Let's go ahead and drop this to the floor just to make sure. I'm going to do another auto level one more time just to make sure that that goes from the bottom all the way to the top. And then I'm going to clip the bottom. So this is going to automatically add some flatness into the area. It is going to reduce the height of your height map a little bit. But again, this now adds some flat spots for you to work with and then potentially use the mountain terrain too. Cool. So we've got our mountain created here. We can do some more stuff like maybe I was showing you before, add the surface detail here. We will add a thing called anastomosis, kind of help with some more flow. And then I'm going to drag in the erosion node. I do like to use the erosion personally. And then you can see now we have a little bit of a terrain, of some sort of terrain happening here. Not much going on yet. But what I'm going to do is stop the video here and just kind of show this is how you can maybe start arranging your terrain. What I like about this approach is that once you add something in, you kind of move it to the transform, you combine it in with the max. It gives you a lot of control over where you want to move your mountains, where you want certain things to kind of show up. And then you can flatten it out a little bit if you'd like by just clipping it at the end. Now there's other options, like instead of adding the post processing, you can also add other nodes. Sometimes you have the ability to clip or clamp without doing it in a post processing option. So we have our erosion here. Everything I think is looking pretty nice. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop the video at this point so that we can move on to the next piece, which is laying out your track layout.